have you ever joined a digital record pool?
Yeah, I was in DJ City for a little bit,
And so what
and
was
I
that
liked
all
some of the
about?
stuff.
Mhm.
I like some of the remixes and some of the stuff they had. Like you know how we said before, like there's different DJ pools had different music. It
Mhm.
wasn't universal. Everybody all had the same thing.
Right.
And DJ City had a really good library of music. I think Supreme was probably the biggest,
Supreme BPM.
and yeah, and then a Zip, I think a Zip DJ or whatever.
Mhm.
Though they were pretty good too, and a couple of these guys had videos and that kind of stuff. Well, but like I like the layout. I liked what was going on over there, and they had the music I wanted. And for me, I'm a simple guy. If you got what I want over there, I'm not going to care about whatever else, whatever bells and whistles you have. Like that was the factor.
It's almost like Spotify, how sometimes you have these remixes, and I'm just like, are those commissioned? I'm not quite sure if they are. And then you
They're
go
not
to
commissioned.
these, right, exactly. And then you go
They're
to
not.
these digital, DJ pools, and I'm like, they have all these remixes, and I'm like, are those commissioned? Because even when
Mm,
I buy my digital music, right,
mhm.
or if I'm building a digital track list using something like a title or something, I always try to
Mm.
include or purchase the actual artist, not something from a various artist, like album, or
Okay.
not a
Yeah,
remix
yeah,
that wasn't commissioned. I always want to give the artist credit. So I always look for the original artist. Sometimes on these
yeah.
various artists, they're not.
They
It's
make
just
it
the first
harder,
track.
man.
Right,
They
exactly.
make it very hard to find that stuff, which is ridiculous. I don't.
Right.
If there's a compilation shouldn't be first over the album or the person's real
Yeah.
song.
A lot of
That's dumb.
times the labels will do that just to like get you ready for like the new releases coming out though, right?
Yeah, they're trying to sell the other music on top of the song that you want,
Right.
which to me it annoys me because you're making money off of somebody else's back, and that annoys me. And labels are always doing that. So I agree with you. I try and support the artist as much as I can.
Right.
And even today, I still buy music on iTunes, even if I'm going to play it on Tidal or Spotify or
Yeah, yeah,
whatever.
yeah. Hmm.
I like an album a lot. I'll still buy it on iTunes. Or, if I really, really like it, I'll try and find the vinyl and spend the $40 or whatever it is to go get the original
You're right,
pressing or
probably
whatever.
$40 for an album. You know what I'm
Ah,
saying?
at least, yeah, I used to be able to get albums for $11 and $12, and now they're $40 for the same albums. Man, that drives me crazy. But you know what? Less people buying vinyl now, but vinyl still has more weight than the digital music
Oh
in
yeah.
some aspects, especially
Well,
when
it's
it
a
comes to what the artist
creative
is making.
process of making the vinyl too. Not even the music, but then putting it like on lacquer and everything else. That's a whole
Yeah, yeah.
process
But
too.
what I'm talking about as far as the money that goes to the artist, the vinyl is
Hmm.
way more
It's way more.
than what
Hmm.
they're doing for the CD, or not the CD, but the MP3
That's
or
why a lot of
streaming
artists
thing.
are like making their releasing sort of things on vinyl now too.
Yeah,
They're
special
just like,
edition
well,
on
this
vinyl,
is
whatever.
exactly with these digital record pools. What do you think about some of those remixes that were not sanctioned? I mean, and why aren't you in like any digital record pools now? And why, or I should say,
Well,
why did you stop?
I stopped because iTunes became more accessible. Like they had more things that you
Right.
needed.
Hmm.
Because it was before, it was like, well, I need this. I want to get this remix for this song from Jay-Z.
Hmm.
Even though it's sanctioned or whatever, but it wouldn't be on iTunes. So I still need the pools for that.
Right.
But now, uh, if there's a remix for a song, it's gonna be on iTunes. Like it's guaranteed to be on there. So it wasn't. So I was like, well, I don't really need the extra thing on here, and I'm only gonna get. I wasn't buying as much music as it was before. So rather than keeping this monthly thing, I was like, well, let me just get the one song I wanted, and I'll call it a day there. And I think that once you had the streaming services, that completely upended this process, especially for where to get music from and the
Right.
prices. Because you're a lot of times you're spending like $60, $50 for a DJ pool a
Wait a minute,
month.
that was the same amount as like the vinyl record pools,
Yeah, yeah.
but you were
You're
getting more.
spending
Like
money.
again, I tried digital record pools, but when I
Mhm.
was in record pools, it was just so exciting to wait for that box,
Oh, yeah,
that
to get the thing
delivery.
coming. Yeah, yeah.
And then,
Yeah,
you'll get 60 records and then
yeah.
you can only use 10 of them.
Well, I was in the pool for Sony and Universal,
Yeah.
so that I would go down to the record label and go there on Tuesdays and pick up the vinyl. And that was an interesting experience because then you had to do that. Did you like it? I was like, yeah,
Or
everything's
you
great,
have to
everything's
fill
great.
out the
Yeah,
form.
you had to fill out the form, and they'd be like, yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
I don't like this song, whatever. But like, everybody, I can see all the DJs in the elevator just like check, 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 check. Okay, okay, all right, here's the form. All right, let me
Yep.
pick up the new set of vinyl. Like,
Yep.
the information I think was so irrelevant, and there was no quality control for it. So I think we probably hurt artists in the long run because nobody really cared to fill out the thing correctly.
We were like,
Nobody's
yep,
doing
yep,
it
yep, yep, give
correctly.
me my box.
Yeah, yeah, give me a box of vinyl.
I was in 2 record pools. They both delivered. So I was in Sire, which was huge. One of my DJ
Yeah.
friends helped me get into that because it was kind of exclusive.
Oh, yeah, you had to have a connection to do. You couldn't just like, hey, DJ Pool, like, please let me in. Like, no,
How
you
much?
had to have a
Yeah.
connection.
Mhm.
There's no way you're getting, especially the record labels pool. There's no way
Yeah.
you're getting in there without a connection.
Yeah, he got me into that one, and there was another one, a record pool out of there was a lot of dance music being produced. They call it the New Jersey sound, like out of coming from a lot of labels in New Jersey. So there was a specific record pool that just sort of catered to New Jersey style house and club music. So I was in that record pool.
Okay.
And that was pretty cool. But again, the digital record pools, I just thought that, I mean, again, you're paying $60. You're getting a lot more music, but you're also
Yeah.
getting a lot of stuff that you're like, well, wait a minute, what is that and why is it here? And who's
Well,
getting paid for this?
I found that I was just downloading a bunch of crap that I didn't need.
Yeah.
And stuff like, so I kind of eased back into like getting everything versus let me just get the songs that are actually hot that I'm going to play.
Right.
Because I was just down like, well, I'm in a pool, everything's free. Like, I'll just get everything I can. Like, and then you realize like, oh, this is a waste.
It's
I don't
like
need this
being in
stuff.
a record pool. You get 60
never gonna
records,
play it.
you only like
Yeah.
10.
Yeah, oh, it happens all the time. And so, like, used to for the record pools from the record label, I was just like, oh, everything's great. And then, I'd just give the records away that I didn't want. And people were like, wow, this is so awesome. Like, you have all this stuff that, like, because the thing is, though, it just took up space. And there's a lot of crap that they were trying to push on you to get you to play. And nobody was going to play it because it was terrible. But,
There's a
they
lot of
did see the record.
shystiness in those digital record pools too. Like you said, they're pushing stuff to you specifically, and you just never know. Maybe someone is paying for this to be in a specific place on a specific chart on a record pool. I mean, that's payola. I mean, it happens in a digital world. It happens in a physical world. It's the
absolutely.
same thing.
It just transferred to the pools. But like, I think that for the pools, you had to start getting better with recognizing what's a good song and what could be a hit down the road.
Yeah.
And that's what I was doing. I was getting better at listening to, oh, this song is going to be good, or this song is so, but maybe I can kind of tell like it has a good feel, or the beat's good, and it may go somewhere. I think that it's probably harder to do that for dance music because you don't have the luxury of the radio stations and the magazines and this kind of stuff to push it. Like the dance music, how could you? It's like a crapshoot checking which song is going to blow up and which one didn't.
Well, I mean, so with the dance music, you did have a lot of magazines that would take reviews. I remember when I released my first album, I sent it to a bunch of magazines, and EQ Magazine reviewed it, and I remember seeing it in the magazine. I went out and bought like 10 or 12 of those magazines, gave them to friends and everything. But, you also had a lot of sort of websites that also did reviews. And then you had like some of the major sort of digital download websites like a Beatport, like a Track Source. You really, I mean, once you knew how the industry worked, you really couldn't trust like a company like that to say, hey, this is in our top 10. We don't know that. Someone could have gotten paid, right?
You got to figure it out your own.
Yeah, in the dance world, you just have really big, if a big DJ played your track, then that's
and that
pretty
was
much
it.
how you got it done. Just like old school. It's just like, hey,
Yeah, yeah.
give your 12-inch vinyl to a DJ and let him play it and see how the
Mhm.
crowd reacts. And so that's pretty much
Yeah.
what was popping off like in the dance music industry. But
Yeah, for sure. Because you think about like
yeah,
for hip hop, it was, well, I need to get this to Ron G or DJ Clue or one of these kind of
Funk
DJs,
Master
and
Flex or
yeah,
someone.
Funkmaster Flex, and if
Hmm.
they got it, they'll play it, and it'll turn into a monster from there,
Yeah.
as long as these guys played it and put it on their mixtapes,
Hmm.
and that was a
Isn't that who
factor. Like,
broke DMX, right? Funk Master Flex.
yeah, yeah, and
Hmm.
Clue and these guys, they
Yeah.
helped break a bunch of artists,
Yep.
and they used to do these interludes where they let the artist do a freestyle on somebody else's beat, and then they make it
That's true.
kind of like how reggae was like a dub plate where they get another artist to do another song on there. It's
I'm
similar with that.
fascinated with those dub plates, yo, for real. I am, because
Yeah,
it's just
man.
like the coolest. Who does that? Who says, "Yo, let's go into the studio"? Like, Bing, track something, and then
But
say, "Yo,
you
this is dope." 2 days later, it's being played on vinyl, dub plate on a dance floor.
you had to get the connections to get the artist to go make their remix for you or their new
Right.
version of the song
Hmm.
for you. You don't have any connections, and that's the thing for reggae DJs. The people who had that, I have a special song from Beanie Man that nobody else has,
Yeah.
and the people with all the dub plates, they were the bigger DJs.
Yeah.
Like for my city,
That's
there's
cool.
this group called King Turbo. These guys had all the dub plates, and Lindo P. These guys are the biggest people in the city. They had all of the dub plates for special remixes from like Sean Paul or Bujuman or Buju Banton, whatever. Like somebody big. They had special songs that no other DJ, even DJs in Jamaica, didn't have this version of a song that these guys had in the city, and that was the factor. That's where you're like,
That's pretty
you're a
cool.
bigger DJ. Yeah, it's a cultural thing though.
Madonna said it once at I think
Mm,
a Grammys or something like that. She used to always thank the DJs, because then
yeah.
if the DJs didn't break you, forget about it. You're nothing.
Oh, for sure.
And that's
Well,
what
it's
these
like this.
record pools were all about too. Like, let's give, the
Mhm.
demos to the DJs and see what happens.
Yeah, it's like records became hits because they're played at Studio 54
Yeah.
or they're played at a certain radio station. Like
Hmm.
people used to drive across country to go have a DJ play the song on the radio. And
Right.
that was the factor for how the song became a hit. And now it's just like, was it in a playlist? Like we've devolved into, is it in a playlist? Somebody put the playlist. You don't even know who's putting the playlist together or how this
No.
thing came about. But
Yeah.
if it's in the playlist, it's a hit record. That's it.
So, do you still buy your music? Are there any other sources other than iTunes where you're buying your music?
Actually, no. I buy iTunes and then I go to a record store and still buy vinyl. Like
iTunes
special.
is still viable.
Yeah, it's still
Mhm.
because I got out of the pools, and once I got into Beat Source and Title, there's no need. So I buy from iTunes if I want to support an artist. If I really really like the song, then I'll go buy the
Got
vinyl
to
if I
go
can
cop
find
it,
it.
Hmm.
Yeah, if I double it up, I'll get the vinyl. But other than that, like I'll just play it off of Spotify or whatever. That was
So,
my mentality for a long time.
yeah, exactly. So now you fast forward to today, we still have digital downloads. So you can still go to companies like Beatport, you can go to Track Source and
Yeah,
some other companies, and you still have the digital DJ pools as well. But
yeah,
now you have music streaming services, and now you have, and this is awesome because all three of them, we have choices,
yeah.
options. Now you have music streaming services that are now integrated with DJ softwares. That is the coolest right there. That's
That
that's what fascinates
completely
me.
changed the game. Like you can close the book on the game right now. Having the streaming services download
Yeah,
directly into your controller or your
man.
laptop
Hmm.
ends that's the end all be all for every DJ.
Yeah,
Because like a mobile DJ, you still had to go find these songs before you did your event.
yeah.
And then
Hmm.
now I can organize it on my phone on my way to the event and just download it when I get there. Like, how
Right.
can you beat that? You can
Yeah.
never beat that.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
can't count how many
exactly.
weddings or somebody was like, a bride was like, "Hey, do you have the special song for my grandmother?" I'm like, "Why didn't you tell me this 2 hours ago? Like, I could have got this without the so I play it off of my phone or whatever." But those days are over.
I,
That is the end all be all for this thing. This is the final form for the DJs here.
I
I don't
think
know what's gonna be next.
I think that what's going to happen, what should happen, is this, right? So you now have the streaming services that have the integration with DJ softwares. Not
Yeah,
all of them. I keep wishing and I keep hoping
yeah.
that Apple Music integrates with DJ
Mhm.
software, but they may not because Apple likes to be exclusive. And I doubt if Amazon Music does it as well, but who knows? They may, right? We know that
Amazon may. I
Tidal's
don't.
doing it.
Apple's never gonna do it because they don't
You
care.
said never.
They're never gonna do
They
it.
may not. Amazon may do it. Spotify used to do it,
Amazon.
but now they only do it with I think Tractor, right?
No, no. Spotify pulled out. They don't do any other DJ software right now.
Okay, so Tractor is out of
They're
the
out. Out.
picture,
Yeah,
right?
they're out. Out.
So
Then nobody's doing it. Yeah.
so now you have like, I think the next thing for this sort of iteration is for music streaming services to now figure out a way that they can say, you want to download this music? Pay us $20 a month. Pay us $30 a month. Here's a plan for you to download this many tracks per month. Because if you're going to
Yeah.
integrate these streaming services with DJ software, sometimes, DJs, sometimes we want to download it and have it on our system so we know it's not going to go crazy and we don't have to use Wi-Fi. And that's the other thing with this whole connection too. How are we afraid to use Wi-Fi in real life, like at a club, on a boat, something like that? What would you
I'm
do?
not afraid to use it. I would just prefer not to. I do a lot of boat parties and events
You're
on
like,
boats,
I'm not
and
afraid, but I'm not doing it.
there's boats that I DJ on that they have the DJ booth is in the worst spot of all time because like you're next to like the wheelhouse, so you got the radar and stuff like that. So depending on where you are
You're right.
in the harbor, you're
Mhm.
not getting any radio signal from your phone. So if
Wow.
you are dependent on being on the internet, it's not going to
Mhm.
work. It's not going to fly at all. So that's why I would love uh for Beat Source to increase the file size from 50 songs
Lower
to
that price
1,000
too,
songs.
you know.
Yeah, but like I think Beat Source is their price is it's fine, I guess, because it's like $14. Like that's fine.
Oh well, the
But like,
$14 one, yeah, but I mean like
hey,
the
no,
one that gives you
Beatport
the
is the one that's
locker.
40.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's still $14 for the 50 songs you can download. But it's only Rekordbox allows you to download it. Serato doesn't allow
Wait a
you to
minute,
download
wait a
it.
minute. Beatport now has a plan where, because I know they had a $14 plan, a $30 plan, and a $45 plan. Their $15 plan, $14.99, $15 now give you the ability to have a locker.
No. So you get is Beatport and Beat Source, which is driving me crazy about the company. Like I want to
Right.
support them. Like
Okay.
fix this.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Beat Source is $14 or whatever it is. I can't remember. I think it's
Mhm.
$14
So is Beatport, but they don't have a
for
locker.
Beatport.
Yeah.
Yeah, that locker is more expensive on
Beatport
Beatport, but
Link.
Beat Source you can get the locker for the $50, or
Mhm.
you can pay the $29 and get the 100 songs locker.
Yeah.
But I
Okay.
keep telling them it's too small. You need this thing to be above 1,000. You need to go all unlimited.
Yeah.
Wherever that number is, make it unlimited. And if you
Mhm.
got to charge more to do it, charge more. That's fine. But for me, I would love to use Beat Source as my only place to get music from. I can't rely on it if I ever do anything in a lounge where my internet is spotty at best. I can't rely on this.
Mhm.
And the
Now,
same thing with
BeatSource has
Roku.
all the music you generally use. You like Beatport
Yeah,
really a lot?
Beat Source has all the
Mhm.
music that I would use because for all of the music that's going to be on Billboard, Beat Source has it.
Now,
I
is
think
that
this
DJ
obscure
City?
house music. Yeah, it's the DJ City stuff, and they formed
Okay,
together
okay.
with I think it's Legend. I can't remember what the other company was,
Hmm.
and they're giving them the remixes and all this other stuff and the edits. So
Okay.
it's become more powerful where
So that's a
from
really good
where it started.
service. Okay. Huh.
Yeah, if I was going to choose between the two, I would only use Beat Source because I'm not going to play obscure house music. I'm a mobile DJ. I got to play what people know.
Yeah.
So
That's
if there's
kind of
one lady in the
interesting what
back
you're
like, "Did you have
saying,
this
though.
song from whatever?"
Mhm.
Like, it's no good for me. Nobody else
Yeah.
wants to hear that. So that's
It-
why, like, I Beat Source is a layup for that standpoint of what kind of
wow.
music to get. They got
That's
everything you need on
interesting.
there.
That's
But
the
my
reason
issue
why it's
still,
what? What
and
is it?
and it's and the same issue with Tidal, is that
What is
I
it?
cannot download it. I need to be able to download it
Okay,
because
how much would
I
you
can.
pay if someone said you can download this many tracks? Like if it were 500 tracks a month, how much would you pay per month if you were able to download 500 tracks per month?
See, here's the thing though. I would pay maybe $40, $50 more for that. The idea of I can be at an event, turn my Wi-Fi on, and get whatever I need on the fly. Like, that's
Download it. Hmm.
priceless.
Yeah.
For a mobile DJ, that is utterly priceless.
Hmm.
Whatever your fee is for you doing clubs for the month, or you doing bars or parties, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever that fee is, it automatically becomes worth it for that, the
Yeah.
being
Hmm.
able to get the stuff on the
That's true.
fly.
Hmm.
Now, my issue is still always been, if I'm in a place with the internet spotty or I can't get a signal on my phone,
Hmm.
I may as well just get the music beforehand, because you can't, like Tidal. I still have to re-download the music, even if I say, like, I downloaded it before I put my cue points, or whatever, close my laptop, and I go to this new place. That song is still not on my computer. I have to re-download it, and so
Oh, wait a
and nothing
minute.
is solved
You
there.
mean like if you turn off your Wi-Fi and turn it back on?
Yeah, you need to be connected to the internet to use Tidal.
Right. I know that, but I'm saying like, how are your cue points not still there? I mean, what's going on that your cue
No,
points
no, your
that
cue
you?
points will still, they're attached to the song or
Okay,
whatever. But I'm saying is
cool.
that
Mhm.
I still have to re-download the song to be able to play it.
Oh yeah, every single time. It's not like cached. It's not cached into your
No.
system. Yes, that kind of
You see, the thing
irritates
though,
me. You
to
know,
cache it is an easy fix. That is a simple thing from a technical standpoint. From
very
I've
easy.
done enough code. I don't pretend to be Bill Gates or anything like that,
Mhm.
but I've done enough code to know putting the cache for the songs I download at home and to leave them on my laptop is an easy fix.
Very
That's
easy
the
to do
easy thing.
because
That's
you
a
can
small amount of
cache it.
code.
You can
Yeah,
cache it and then say when program turns off, delete all cache.
yeah.
So
Or
it's
you
like
could just say,
that easy.
have a file up there. Would you like to remove your this gig of space that you
Mhm.
have of cache file? Do you want to
Right.
remove
Mhm.
that?
Exactly.
Cool. All right,
Mhm.
you get around the labels and the new license. Like, everybody's cool. Everybody's happy here. Just do something like that. But uh, we're at a point now where I think that the streaming services for DJs is still niche. There's not enough DJs on it, and I don't think the labels are making enough money from it to care. So we're basically yelling at the wind at this point to kind of get them to fix this thing. But, like, I would
I'm
pay more
picturing us
money.
yelling at the wind like
It was like,
with our lips be moving, like
yeah. Look, I would pay more money if it cost me $100 a month, and I had the ability to download anything I wanted on the fly and keep it on my laptop. I'll pay it.
that
I will pay it.
it's
As a
kind of
mobile DJ,
inexpensive too. Yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
As a mobile DJ, the inconvenience that you've solved, it kind of makes it worth it. Now, I'm not suggesting make it that high. If you guys are watching this video, kind of lower it, because we're in a recession right now.
Right.
But I'm just saying, like, I think that if you're a working DJ and you had the ability to download the music to your laptop,
Mhm.
people would pay that premium for it, no doubt.
Well, if you're a working DJ, like once we are able to get back and you're like DJing 2-3 times a week and you have to pay $100 a month for this service,
Worth
that is a layup.
it is worth it.
Now you said something, right? You said that Beat Source. I mean, you really like that for the type of music, the style of music you play. That's really
It definitely
interesting
can.
because, um, again, I'm not a beat port super fan, but I have been
Mhm,
coming around to Beatport Link. It's kind of slick, right?
mhm. Yeah,
And now you're saying that hey, Beat Source Link because they call it Beat Source Link, I think,
yeah.
is kind of slick on the hip hop R&B side. So if you
Mhm.
and now I'm saying Beatport Link is kind of slick on the dance music side.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, dude, they may have something here. Every time I use Beatport Link, I like it more. And I said this before. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
criticize you if I need to criticize you, but I'm
Yeah, yeah,
also going to
I'm in the
like
same way.
prop you up if you know. And I started criticizing once, because the software wasn't there yet. And every
Mm-hmm.
time I use it, I say Beatport is getting better. Beatport Link is really good. And I will say this: I think I
Mm-hmm.
am going to try Tidal with
Mm-hmm.
Serato and or Rekordbox out using Wi-Fi. I think I'm going to try
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that drives me crazy about Serato is that you can only use one streaming service at a time. And that is a design flaw that they have to fix like right now. Because
There's
like
a lot
Rekordbox,
going on. Mm-hmm.
I can subscribe to 5 different streaming services and use
Yeah,
them all at one time.
yeah.
What is the deal here with Serato? What are they doing here?
You know,
And you don't there's things that you're missing from your Serato version versus the Rekordbox version, or even the
don't
virtual DJ version.
don't listen.
I don't know what's going on here. I made
Listen,
a video about it, and I was like, "Are these guys getting?" Once I saw that, I was like, "Oh, what are these guys doing? What are they doing?"
Yo, Keo, I had it flipped, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I had been using Serato for so long with Tidal. I was
Mm-hmm.
only used to um, playlists from Tidal
Yeah.
or just music that I've downloaded that I actually
Mm-hmm.
liked on Tidal. That was the only thing I was used to, and I thought that was like the gold standard. And then I
Yeah.
started using Rekordbox and Tidal, how they
Yeah.
had all these curated playlists,
Like,
and
what are
I'm
we
like,
doing here?
dude, I first said I was like, Rekordbox, you guys suck because you're doing something wrong with Tidal, right? And then I
Yeah.
started playing one Friday night. I was sipping my cognac, doing what I do, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
I started playing around with those curated playlists. And I'm like, oh my goodness,
Yeah,
yo.
these are pretty good.
I'm sorry, Serato is so behind. And then I opened up an old laptop yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
specifically yesterday, and I updated Serato. And then
Mm-hmm.
there was like a little alert. We're not ready for Big Sur yet. I already know that, but it's just like, guys, Big
Yeah.
Sur's been out for
Like,
like, what's going on here, right?
what are we doing here?
I'm not, and then I started looking at the parametric search on Rekordbox, which is, I
Mhm.
mean, it's a parametric search of that
Yeah,
magnitude, right? Where
is
you can
if you
go,
have if
you,
you have your entire library correctly indexed and
yeah,
all the key points and all the stuff in there,
mm-hmm.
that thing is magical on a fly on a gig.
Dude.
Because it's like
Mm-hmm.
using cheat codes,
And,
basically.
and then I was, again, I haven't been using Serato a lot lately.
Mhm.
I've been using Rekordbox a lot more because I like those curated playlists that Tidal has,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
With this integration with Rekordbox. It also does the same thing on DJ algorithms DJ as well.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
does it on all these, even on Dennett. It does it on all these other softwares
Mhm.
except Serato. So I'm like, now is it something Serato is telling Tidal that they can't do, or is it Tidal is saying, hey, you need to update your software to this point for you to
Yeah.
receive these curated playlists? I think that's what it is.
Well, I think that Serato is
Mm-hmm.
working on a big update. And when they do the Big Sur update and all this other stuff, whenever that comes out, and it fully supports phase DJ and it supports all this other stuff, when that
Wow.
finally comes out, then I think that a lot of this stuff should be fixed by then.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a hope rather than a guarantee.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest here, and I am a Serato user. All
Mm-hmm.
right. Serato is lagging behind Rekordbox in a lot of ways that
Listen,
matter to me directly. And if you only use Serato, you're not going to know this. But if you switch back and forth, you're like, what in the hell is going on over there?
that's what I've been
The
doing, Keo.
scaling is off still. So if you
Dude,
scale a large screen monitor or
mm-hmm.
a high res monitor, it is
Forget it.
still off on Serato.
Don't try to
And
use video with Serato. I mean, it's glitchy. I mean, the resources it uses, forget about it, right?
yeah,
I did that. You know what? I was going back and forth. I was like, let me check out Serato. Let me check out,
hmm
Rekordbox, Serato, Rekordbox. And I was like,
hmm
Serato looks extremely antiquated when you talk about softwares like Algorithms DJ,
I don't want to say it.
Rekordbox, Virtual DJ, Tractor DJ is about to, just put something out that's going to make Serato look kind of weird, right? Like,
I have a feeling the next update for Tractor is going to be a problem.
yeah,
I have a
so
feeling.
it's just like Serato I think Tractor needs to do just something a little bit. They also need to start letting music streaming services integrate with their
They have
software.
to.
Stop
They have
being,
to use.
they have to do that because if you don't do that, then you're not going to be able to
Yeah,
compete.
you can't compete.
Yeah,
This is
but
where the future is going. You have to deal
right.
with it. You know.
But I was going back and forth and I was like, you know what? Rekordbox is far more superior than
hmm
Serato. Hands
There's one
down.
thing.
No
I know
ifs,
it's
ands,
off
or buts
topic.
about it.
There's one thing that I would love to go from Tractor that they would put in all of this other DJ software,
What's that?
and that is the search. Because you can say like you have a song, say like you have artist Jay-Z.
Mm-hmm.
If I click on the little magnifying glass on
Mm-hmm.
Jay-Z's name, all of the Jay-Z songs on my library pop up. And it's the
Wow.
only software that does it.
Wow,
And the
really?
same thing for if you can search by the album, you can search by the artist,
That's
you
kind
can
of
search
cool.
by the song title.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I have like 4 different versions of one song, I can search by just that song title, the way it's named, and all
Yeah.
of the versions of that one song will show up. We need that. Everybody needs that. That's a
That's
phenomenal feature, and I use
that's
it all
pretty
the time when I
simple.
use
Yeah.
Tractor. Yeah, it's a handy feature, especially if you have a bunch of different variations of songs or remixes, or you have the dirty version of a song, you need the clean version. Click the search, thing pops up, and it's instant.
What do you think's gonna happen to Serato?
I okay. I made the video I think 2 weeks ago
Mm.
about is Serato becoming complacent.
Yes, they
And
are.
I think yes.
Right.
A lot of hardcore Serato DJs are like, no, you don't know anything what you're talking about. But if you don't use other DJ software, you're not going to have a frame of reference for what's
Right.
happening right now.
Exactly.
And I gave the analogy. This is the same thing that happened to Tractor. Tractor is like, we're doing our own thing, we're having our own course. And then Serato showed up and was doing all the stuff that they're not doing. And they were late to the game to catch up, and they lost all of their footing. And here comes Rekordbox, and Rekordbox has unlimited budget and all of the gear in the world.
All of it.
You do not toy with a company like that. You have to be on your A game all the time. You cannot play games and be like, well, we'll get to it later. Serato's the last company to
Mhm.
support Big Sur. That's a
Yeah.
no-no.
Wow.
You can't have
Wow.
that.
Wow.
That's
Virtual
terrible
DJ
on your
even
end.
supports Big Sur.
Like Tractor supports Big Sur. Like, what are we doing here? Tractor supports Big Sur before Serato, and Tractor's at the bottom. What's happening here? This is
You know,
terrible on their part.
you said, when you have a company like Pioneer who owns manufacturing, distribution,
Mhm.
software, hardware, it's tough to
Yeah,
compete with a company like that. And now,
yeah.
because, you didn't read the tea leaves, Serato, now you have to figure out how to adapt to the latest and greatest operating system. And you also have to sort of create a firmware update for all the Serato controllers as well. So you have a lot of work to do.
You have a ton of work.
You have,
And I
yeah,
keep telling Serato users that Rekordbox is way better than you think it is,
it's way
and
better.
don't be comfortable with your position in the world. It is Rekordbox is night and day from when they started a couple years ago. There's no you can't tell that this software is so new. You don't have that impression when you use it. It feels polished,
Mhm.
is responsive, and they're adding in features that all these other companies are slowly just noticing right now. And I'm
Mhm.
like, you guys are sitting here on the top. And I made the bold prediction. I was like, this year, 2021, Rekordbox is going to surpass Serato, and there's no looking back from there. That's
They're
it.
pretty close now,
They,
though, right? It's
they're
only a
neck
few
and neck.
points. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They're 2 percentage points away from each other. Serato
Yep.
is at 23% and Rekordbox is 21%. That's not good, man.
That's not good. You know what? I'm not even gonna front, Keo. About a month ago, no lie, I was just like, wow, Rekordbox is far more superior than Serato. A month ago.
I keep telling people it is way better than you
A
think it
month
is.
ago, I figured that out. I was like, and I kept playing with it because even with their flagship controller, the XDJ XZ Pioneer, right?
Yeah.
Pioneer has been updating the firmware on the controller and also Rekordbox. So the integration and the tightness of
better.
both, it's gotten better. Where, you know, now the controller is updated, but Serato is not. And so when you play with Serato on that controller, it's just a little gimpy, right? And so that's why I started using Rekordbox more. And then I started realizing, I'm like, wow, Rekordbox is, dude, this may be like the gold standard.
Oh, absolutely. And you remember the controller that came out, I think it was last year, the DJ Flex, the FL X6 or whatever.
Yeah.
The second that I noticed that the Rekordbox integration was light years better than the Serato integration, I was like, oh, this is the problem. This is not going to get better.
Yeah.
If you're going to buy Pioneer gear, it's just not going to run as good here on out. It's got to
be for Rekordbox.
It's just like they've decided, they took the veil off and they're like, we don't care anymore. We're going to spend 100% of our time on the Rekordbox version and maybe 60% or 70% on the Serato version. And if it works, it works.
Yeah. It makes me think that. Yeah, it makes me think that, again, their flagship controller is a Rekordbox Serato controller. It has Rekordbox and Serato, label on the controller, right?
Yeah.
But Rekordbox, Serato just hasn't updated. And again, like I said, I am super impressed with the updates, the software, the integration, the tightness of the searchability. The parametric search on Rekordbox is amazing when you just look at it from a coder's standpoint. It's just like, well, you can do a search for, key and, genre and, artist and, just like stringing all these together, these queries together.
The mood and the style of music. You get the feel of it.
Serato.
On top of the genre, the record label. Like, you can search so many different ways to just narrow your thing down. And so people with big libraries, this is a godsend for them. And because they focused on search and their library organization first, and then they fixed the I would say the DVS part of it. Yeah. That came second. Yeah. The library is the bedrock for Rekordbox DJ, and they made sure that's top notch, second to none. Yeah. And everybody's playing catch up to the library part of Rekordbox.
That's true.
And now that your DVS part of it, or even your controller part of it, is on par with all the top people after that, as lights out. You are playing games if you think that you can keep going at this pace where Serato will be last to update their stuff and they don't have as good integration with Pioneer gear and think that nothing's going to change here. You're a fool for that. This thing is going to be a problem. And I guarantee this year, Rekordbox is going to overtake them and there's no looking back. Yeah, that's the end of the road.
I think that's going to happen. As a matter of fact, you know what? That's how I really came to the realization that, Beatport Link is actually getting better. Not because when I first reviewed it, I did it with Serato, right?
Yeah.
And it didn't have the curated playlist. It didn't have all that sort of stuff. I will say this with Serato and some of the integrated music streaming services. Yeah. You do have the ability to do batch analyzing. You can't do that on a Rekordbox side with streaming services, not yet anyway. But
I
checked
guarantee
out that's going to come. But I checked out Beatport Link on a Rekordbox side, and they had all the curated playlists, and they had this playlist called Raw Techno, right? And I was like, oh, raw techno. So this is music played at like, 145,
Yeah, yeah.
150 beats per minute.
Pounding one stuff.
Like, real stuff that's like really fast, right?
Yeah.
Stuff that's like really fast and like, just like sometimes they call it hard house, but this is called raw techno.
Your sandstorms, your Darude.
But this is like techno, but in its rawest form, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 145, 150 beats per minute. Here's the thing about that. I went to that playlist. It was a curated playlist, and I said, oh. And I was listening to some of this stuff, and I was like, oh, it's pretty fast. I was like, you know what? Let me slow that down to 120 beats per minute. Totally different vibe, right? It's deep and dark and dirty and nasty, right? And just real sick. And so, again, here we go. It's a Saturday night, having my cognac, doing my thing. And I'm in this like curated playlist, raw techno, playing all the tracks at 120 beats per minute. And having fun for about 4 hours, right? Yeah. And then I started going back and forth to these other playlists, and that really put me in a different sort of mindset when it came to Beatport Link. And I said that on my video. I was like, hey, you know what? Beatport Link is getting better. I mean, like, I'm going to criticize you when it needs to be, but you know what? If you're making it better, if you're doing the right thing, I'm going to give you your props. And that is a really sort of dope integration with Rekordbox. With Serato, it's not.
It is not the same thing.
No.
But I will say this though. The curated playlists from BeatSource and Beatport, they are done by DJs rather than the companies picking the songs.
Yeah.
And you can tell because they're songs that's supposed to go together that a DJ would put together.
I noticed that. Like they were like on key, the whole nine.
Yeah. The same energy, the same vibe, good tempo match. And like the same kind of snares, the stuff that you would notice that if a label is picking these things. And so like I love the curated playlist from BeatSource.
Yeah,
phenomenal stuff in there. Phenomenal. If you're just getting started and you don't know what music that goes together,
it's great.
It does all the heavy lifting for you.
It's
and
great.
You going. It's absolutely phenomenal.
The title curated playlist too. I'm loving that. Again, you can't get that on Serato, which is ridiculous, right? But I'm like, I went in a curated playlist and was listening to this artist Green Velvet, and the song was called "Bigger Than Prince," right?
Okay,
like Prince the artist.
Yeah.
And there was this guy just talking over a like really sick house / broken beat track. And he was just talking about people fronting like they're bigger than Prince, right? Right? And dude, I kept playing it over and over because the track was like so much, it was driving and I was never knew. I probably never would have found the track. It was like nested in one of these curated playlists.
Yeah.
These curated playlists on a beat, they have curated playlists on a BeatSource Link side too?
Yeah.
They do? Okay, wow. Yeah. So how's that? I mean, you finding any gems?
Oh yeah, I find classic stuff or things that I was missing. Like, oh, I forgot about this remix or this song. Right. I forgot about this song. I would put in my normal set. So like it is amazing having this stuff there, and I like the fact that they went to the DJs, like all the professional top end DJs. They went to them, and these are the people who put this stuff together from their own sets or whatever. And I think it's handy, and I don't think that it's. Like people look at it, like especially from olden days, they're like, "Well, you're cheating and you're helping these DJs and doing all this stuff." Like, you still got to play the music, man. You still got to know when to play these songs. I can give you all the songs in the world, and if you don't know how to play them or when to mix them,
you got to know how to blend them. You have to know how to read the crowd.
Yeah. This doesn't change anything for you.
It doesn't.
You still need to know how to read the crowd. You still need to
exactly.
So I think that DJs in general have to move past this is bad, and we got to embrace this streaming stuff because look, I being a large proponent of, I think this thing they need to make it so you can download or at least keep it.
Even on the music streaming side, like a company like a Tidal, you think Tidal needs to give us the ability to download too?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to give you about either download it or cache it on my computer
Right, right,
and
right.
allow me to
Exactly.
keep it until I say I want to get rid of it.
Hmm.
Either or. It doesn't matter how, but that should be a factor. Like you should have on your computer, you should say, I want to store 2 gigs of audio in this area of my
Yes.
computer.
I would pay for that if I was working, again.
And
I
then
would
let
pay
me
for
do
that.
whatever I want with that. I can throw out as much songs
Yes.
as I want that'll fill up that 2 gigs. Let me do that.
Hmm.
We're all in the same. Like if it's a little extra, fine. But if you don't want to have to be, say, downloading,
Hmm.
let us cache it then. Just call it cache and then get around the download. But like that has this always going to be my sticking point until they let us do it. And so like
Yeah.
I've told people that you still need to download your own music and you still need to do what you've been doing. This is just an addition to that. And it's a handy addition, but it's just an addition until that is removed. That barrier of download to your computer or download to your controller, until that's removed, you have to embrace still using the old methods.
I
That's how I
think
look at
that
it.
I think that's going to happen. But you know what? Just to zip this up, we've come from now again. You and I, we've come from the essence of like DJing vinyl,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can't take that away from us because we come from the essence of it. Like vinyl, buying the two records
Mhm.
that are the same. But we've
Yeah.
also been a part of the whole evolution too. So we went from vinyl to CDs to digital record pools to digital
Mhm.
downloads, and now we have all three sort of merging together. Even though I
Mhm.
think digital DJ pools will probably be a thing of the past
They're
because
gonna
you
die
have these
off.
streaming services like that are now integrating. And here we are today. And again, as DJs, the industry companies, they are just continually pushing the envelope, giving us all these dope options just to
Mhm.
even to choose from. If you like vinyl, you can still use vinyl with DVS. If
Yeah,
you want to
yeah.
do music streaming, I mean, this must be a beautiful thing. I mean, I think it is. What do you think?
Mhm. I think this is the best time ever to be a DJ.
Yes.
And even if we're concerned about the technology and all this kind of stuff, you've never had this many options.
Mhm.
So I only want to use a controller. I want to use a standalone controller. I
Yes.
want to only use turntables. I want to use a turntable that's a spinning platter,
You
or
want
I
to use
I
an
only want to use a
iPad?
CDJ thing. I can use the iPad. I can use
Yeah.
my phone. There's so many options.
It's so
That's
great.
another thing. I
Mhm.
would like to be able to download music on my phone and plug it into my laptop or my controller and do like that.
Yeah.
Give us options. But
That's
like I'm
all
just saying,
coming.
like we've never had so many ways to DJ now,
So many ways, dude. You gotta love
and
that.
it's made it easier and better. And for us, we still have. There's a lot of crappy people that are DJing, and that's fine. It's gonna happen.
It's
There's
gonna
crappy
happen.
people that are comedians and crappy actors and crap.
Mhm.
Like you can't get around that. There's always gonna be that. I always tell people that we need to embrace the technology and the community.
Yes.
We need to be and encouraging and not be trying to shove people out because we don't like how they're doing stuff. That's not helpful to overall package of what we're trying to do here. Because I would like this to continue on for another couple years,
I do
and we
too.
can't do that. We can't do
Yeah.
that if we're all
Mhm.
fighting each other or
Right.
Serato crowd is punching the Rekordbox crowd. Like it's not useful. It's not helpful. We got to be working together here. So that's how I look at it, honestly. But I think this is the best time I've ever. And I've gone from vinyl to a laptop
Mhm.
to now I can get a full all-in-one controller type thing with all of the things I needed from vinyl and a laptop, all in the controller.
Wow.
What better time is there to be alive right now? I don't know. I don't know
As a
if there
DJ.
is.
Well, you know what? You have the final word here because there is nothing else to follow on that. We have options. It's a great time to be a DJ.
Hmm.
And man, I'm just looking forward to the next 3 to 5 years because I think some really interesting stuff is gonna pop up, in terms of this whole music streaming service integration with DJ software. Well, there you have it. Another episode of the Behind the Groove podcast. I am Basil Barrington.
I'm DJ Keo.
Thanks, and see you next time. Peace.